Someone loses their job, their apartment floods the same week, and somewhere in the group chat, someone sends, "Everything happens for a reason, stay positive." That sentence is not philosophy. It's a flinch dressed up as wisdom. Nietzsche had a phrase for something that sounds almost identical. Amor Fati, the love of fate, but it means something so different from good vibes only that mistaking one for the other might be quietly wrecking your ability to actually deal with pain. So let's separate them. Because one of these ideas will help you survive hard years. The other one is just avoidance with better branding. We live in a culture obsessed with reframing suffering. Bad things aren't allowed to just be bad anymore. They have to be growth opportunities, blessings in disguise, part of the journey. Silence your doubt. Manifest harder. Good vibes only. It sounds empowering. But underneath it is a quiet demand. Don't feel the bad thing. Skip straight to the lesson. Nietzsche, of all people, a man who suffered from crippling migraines, near blindness, isolation, and was mocked for most of his working life, arrived at a philosophy of accepting fate completely. Not resisting it, not spinning it, not rushing past it. So here's the real question. What's the difference between accepting your life and lying to yourself about it? Let's build this properly, because it's easy to miss here. Premise 1. Suffering is not separable from a life you'd actually want. Nietzsche's thinking connects to his idea of eternal recurrence. Imagine living your exact life over and over, infinitely, with every pain intact. He asks, could you want that? Not tolerate it, want it. This isn't a fantasy exercise, it's a test. If you can only love the highlight reel, the promotions, the good relationships, the wins, but you resent or deny the divorce, the failure, the diagnosis, the grief, then you don't actually love your life. You love an edited version of it. Premise 2. Resisting or denying suffering doesn't remove it. It just adds a second layer of suffering on top. This is the part toxic positivity gets catastrophically wrong. When you tell someone or yourself, just stay positive in the face of real loss, you're not making the pain smaller. You're making it unspeakable. Now there's the original wound, plus the shame of still feeling it when you're supposed to have moved past it. Nietzsche isn't asking you to smile through it. He's asking you to stop fighting the fact that it happened at all. Premise 3. Amor Fati is retrospective and integrative. It happens after you've actually faced the thing. This is the hinge point. You don't leap straight to "I love this" the moment tragedy hits. That's spiritual bypassing. Amor Fati is what becomes possible after you've let the pain be exactly as bad as it is, and you still choose to say, "This is mine, this made me, I will not disown it." Think of a scar versus a wound covered by makeup. Toxic positivity paints over the wound, so it looks fine in photos, but it's still open underneath, and it gets infected. Amor Fati lets the wound heal into a scar. It's still visible. It still has a history of real pain in it, but it's integrated into the body now. It's not being hidden, it's been lived through. The strongest objection here: isn't this just a more sophisticated way of telling suffering people to accept their suffering, potentially excusing injustice, abuse, or things that should be resisted, not loved? That's fair, and worth sitting with. Nietzsche isn't arguing for passivity in the face of things you can still change. Amor Fati applies to what has already happened, the fixed past, not future choices. You can love your fate and still fight like hell against present injustice. The two aren't in conflict. What Amor Fati asks you to stop doing is denying reality, not stop acting on it. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Amor Fati can be genuinely hard to distinguish from toxic positivity from the outside. Both can look like someone saying, "I'm at peace with what happened." The difference is entirely in what happened before that sentence. Toxic positivity skips the descent. It reaches for the silver lining before the loss has even been metabolized. It often serves the listener's comfort more than the sufferer's healing. Stay positive is frequently said by people who don't want to sit with someone else's pain. Amor Fati requires you to have gone all the way down first. Nietzsche himself wrote in his letters about despair, about wanting to disappear, about the crushing weight of being misunderstood. His philosophy of affirmation isn't naive, it was earned through actual darkness, not skipped past it. There's also a real critique worth naming. Some scholars argue Amor Fati can tip into a kind of fatalism that's hard to apply cleanly to modern life, especially to structural suffering like poverty or systemic harm, where loving your fate risks sounding like resignation to people who have every reason to demand change instead. This tension is genuinely unresolved in how the idea gets used today, and it's worth deciding for yourself where the line is. So here's where I land. Toxic positivity is fate management. Amor Fati is fate ownership. One tries to control how the story looks. The other lets you actually own the story, damage included. Practically, this might mean the next time something painful happens, resist the urge, from others or yourself, to immediately reframe it into a lesson. Let it be bad for as long as it's actually bad. Grieve the thing that deserves grief. Rage at the thing that deserves rage. And only later, not as a shortcut, not as a performance for anyone watching, see if you can say, honestly, this happened, it was mine, and I would not erase it from the story of who I became. That's not positivity. That's something much sturdier. So next time someone hands you everything happens for a reason while you're still bleeding, you don't have to accept the bandage. You're allowed to sit in the wound first. The love comes later, if it comes at all. And that's not failure, that's just honesty moving at its own pace. What's something in your life you're still working on being able to say you don't regret? Not because it was good, because it was yours.